This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
Let's talk about this case. Brendan Banfield was an IRS criminal investigator, a federal agent trained to build cases, analyze evidence, and understand how investigations work. Prosecutors say he used that training to orchestrate the murder of his wife Christine and Joseph Ryan, then staged the crime scene to look like self-defense against a home invader. 8 months after the killings, police found a framed photo of Brendan and his family's au pair on his nightstand. I'm not surprised by this. I don't know why it's supposedly criminal, but we'll talk about it. He'd been having an affair with her for months, and he admitted to it. But here's what doesn't fit. If Brendan Banfield planned an elaborate murder, why leave evidence of an affair in plain sight? Why keep the au pair in the country? Why give a story to police that could be picked apart? Robin Dreeke, retired FBI Special Agent, Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Joining us, Robin, Brendan was an IRS criminal investigator. Spent his career building cases and understanding how investigations work. If he planned this murder, does his post-offense behavior match what you'd expect from someone with that kind of a background?
So first we have to look at his background, because when we say criminal investigator, all right, so let's look at what he investigated. White-collar crime, IRS stuff. So he was not a homicide detective. He did not cover true crime, because I guarantee you this, if he did cover any true crime or even watch our show, he would not have done what he did. So his background... Allegedly. Right. So all allegedly, but at least he's being prosecuted for this. So I'm going to have my hypothetical hat on, for this, and my thought experiment hat as always. So what that tells me when I first saw this and look at it as criminal investigator, here's someone who might have a case of overinflated sense of ego and my ability to get away with things because of my background. So that's a possibility. But anytime we talk about post-crime or during crime behavior of anyone, I'm always reminded with you, Tony, that we deal with morons. If people are associated with this kind of crime in any way whatsoever, they do stupid things because they've already done one stupid thing. They killed a human being. Again, that is pure conjecture. He's being charged with it, not found guilty of it yet. But would it surprise me if he was the perpetrator of this, that he would do something like that? No, it doesn't surprise me, because one, he's not a homicide detective. He has no background in understanding how to set up a crime scene, because we know from our experience too, you cannot stage a crime scene for a seasoned investigator. They're going to see through it in 5 seconds. So the last thing you want to do is to make it look staged, because it's going to look like it was staged. If he was the perpetrator of this, he did a really horrible job. And I'm not surprised either, because he just doesn't have a background in it. And there's a sense of way overconfidence I think he might have. Yeah.
There's so many possibilities in this case. What I want to talk about some of the investigation here with you on this, because that's where my red flags went off. On the surface, you see this case, you go, oh, well, that's probably what happened. It was, wow, in terms of the amount of planning that was put into this and staging it, kind of Predator style,
totally
like to catch it. It's like, wow, this is, wow. Haven't heard this one before. But then you start looking at the digital footprint here. And that's important, because the data, it's not there to serve any one party. It's there to serve the truth, and it's just going to tell you what the data is. So they start looking into the digital devices, as to be expected. Officer Brendan Miller, the prosecution's own digital forensic expert, goes through the devices. Christine's devices, she's the dead one, and determined, after looking at her devices and everybody's devices, including Brandon's and all that Christine Banfield is the one who controlled the fetish website account, not her husband. This is from the investigator. The prosecution's digital forensic expert said this. His findings, just to make sure it wasn't like, are you sure? They sent it off to be peer reviewed then to the University of Alabama, I believe is where it went. And after that, they transferred him out of the unit. and said, "You're never going to do this again." That looks a little sus, you know? I mean,
Right.
where, okay, so his theory, his findings, not even his theory, just the arbiter of the information that he's gleaning off of the data that he's pulling down. He's telling you, here's what the data says. It's not on his devices, it's on her devices. Realistically, in the time that she's controlling the devices, it doesn't go along with your theory of the case. Well, we don't like that, so you're gone. I mean, what do you make of that?
A lack of imagination, potentially, too. So again, I'll put my I'm him hat on, and if I think I'm really smart and I really want to hide in plain sight, because when I see this, again, I'm going on a presumption first, and then I'm going to reverse it again. A presumption first of he is the perpetrator. What better way to mask it in plain sight than this case where, all right, how can I get someone in here to stage this whole thing and make it look like it wasn't staged by me? Oh, we'll use something that she's into. Maybe she's into fetishes. I can kind of manipulate that. I do believe from everything we're seeing, he is a control freak. And so he's controlling that situation by controlling a narrative by saying it was her. So again, and I don't go down the conspiracy route like this often because it's too many moving parts. And this is just one more moving part that says that this is kind of weird, like you said. But then I look at averages first to kind of tell me where to look at. Laws of probability and data points. So I got 2 data points I'm looking at on this one. And again, they're pretty sparse and pretty equal and kind of weird. But the probability, looking at the what's the guy's name that they invited in to support the fetish guy that he killed?
Continue on. I'll find it. It escapes me at the
so,
second.
If you look at his background and profile of him as a human being and everything he's done, he would be a way outlier, deviating from a norm for someone that would come in and murder someone with a knife. He just doesn't fit. He is a way outlier. Now, Brandon, same thing. He's an outlier as an individual from doing the same actions of committing murder. But the one thing where the data kind of shift to get you looking at Brandon is the situation. Affair, child custody, those are 2 biggies that lean away from the guy that was invited in for the sexual party or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so again, when you're just looking at averages, as I am as an investigator, I'm going to be leaning towards looking to him because the law of averages and probability says that he is the most likely fit for this. And I also have a co-conspirator with the all pair who's said that, yes, she did it. Granted, we have other situations there. But when given conflicting data points, you got to kind of let the dial go in one way or the other so you can kind of follow some more leads in one area than another. So that's just kind of how it flushes out behaviorally.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the guy who came in. Joseph Ryan is his name, and he. Because there's different narratives being told on this, that the prosecution is saying, look, I mean, his mother has come out and said, oh, he's, she was a doting mother. He's a good little boy. He's an adult that was showing up at a woman's house thinking that he was going to have a SA fantasy with her. I don't know how good little boy that is. That seems rather disturbed, and there might be some mental health issues going on if this is how you're spending your Tuesday afternoon or whatever day of the week this happened on. And he was still living at home, allegedly. So it's like there might be some things here. But they're portraying it as he has no criminal history, this or that. Obviously, he's into some weird shit. But obviously not. It doesn't mean it's murder. How well do you think that's going to play? That he's just this innocent guy that showed up and then he got murdered? I don't know. I mean, if you're showing up to somebody's house to enact this sort of a scene, I mean, I'm going to make a wild guess that violence might not be that crazy of one of the things that you're into, or a proclivity of oneself.
You could see, all right, so again, let's put a different kind of flip on this.
Yeah.
That both these theories are completely wrong. But we'll go down the road. All right, so let's go down the road of, all right, so the wife, the one that was murdered, is the one that initiated this because she was on all the fetish sites. All right, so let's go down the road that she initiated this. She invited this guy over. But he winds up murdering her with a knife. That's what doesn't really fit here. So you can then imagine the husband coming in, seeing shooting and all that as he's claiming. But again, I keep going back to, he doesn't quite fit the narrative that's been portrayed on both these sides of someone that would actually then murder the person he's going there to encounter, even on a fetish site, with a knife. There's missing pieces here. Maybe the three of them were planning on something together and went sideways. I don't know, because all these narratives aren't quite fitting logic. Granted, people aren't logical when they're doing stupid shit like this. But again, I have a hard time thinking of him as the sole perpetrator of violence here and everyone else was a victim.
Here's a thought that just crossed my mind. And this would actually make sense in terms of the evidence in the case and the investigators that said, we think it was her that was on these websites, not him. Mm-hmm. What if she did set it up? What if he also knew how to access this, knew that this was coming? In some way, shape, or form, he knew she was setting up this essay fantasy for that time. And he saw it as an opportunity. He saw it as an opportunity of, oh, I can get in here, and then I can make it look like I think my wife is being essayed, and I then naturally kill him. But then I stab her too to make it look like he's stabbing her, and that fills in the story.
Yeah.
I mean, did he use it as an opportunity? Are we missing? Yeah. Are we missing where both of these storylines can be somewhat parallel and make sense? Because that would make sense. It would explain the findings of the forensic investigation and make that true, and would also make true that this was a murder that was trying to get rid of the spouse so he could be with the pair, but it was more of a crime of opportunity because it was set up this way. It wasn't as evilly genius as I think a lot of people are looking at this as, more so a crime of opportunity.
I'm more on that with you. That's a great idea, Tony, because again, every time you add an element to something that makes it more complicated, the least likely it was that. Yeah. Because so every time someone plans something, if you add another day of planning, if you add another element to the crime itself, that's one more opportunity for something to go sideways before execution. Either leakage of ideas, someone's going to find out. Everything goes sideways. The more complex you make it, the more stupid it gets in the execution and in the fallout. But your idea of the crime of opportunity fits the easy route.
The investigators have said that they believe that she was on the websites and she was communicating with multiple people. I'm wondering if this was a pattern of hers, that maybe this wasn't the first time somebody had come over to the house. This is just pure speculation here, and I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, and I know that's a big thing in this because people don't want to think of this innocent mom and nurse as, being this, sexually provocative person or whatever. But look, I'm telling you, it's going off of what the evidence says. So maybe he knows that she's doing this, and they're both in an unhappy relationship. He's diddling the au pair, and she's out there on these fet sites because that's what she's into allegedly, and nobody's happy. He knows that she's doing this, and he sees it as, well, I'm just going to wait for the next time somebody comes over, whatever that, and take the situation of the fantasy out of it. Take the whole that this is an essay fantasy, whatever the hell it is. I mean, because he could probably use it as to any fantasy, whatever the hell it is. Just somebody is showing up at the house for his wife. he can say he thinks that she's being attacked and SA'd, because what else are you going to think initially? If you're not thinking that she's having an affair, you could make this assumption, or you could make this argument in a court of law that well, this is happening, and he was stabbing her, so I killed him. And you can recreate the stab and make it look like he did it until you can't.
So I think it's a viable theory, and the one person that's going to know is the au pair. She's in that house a lot with a lot of open exposure of what was actually going on behind the scenes.
Would she know, though?
It's
she doesn't have to know that this was part of the plan. If it's
no, not the plan, but the wife's issues, the state of the marriage, their relationship.
That yes,
you know, so she's going to have insight. In other words, I think an interview of her, whether it's part of the trial or pre-interviews or whatever, is going to be able to either substantiate or debunk your idea. Because she's going to be able to tell all those things that you said would lead up to that target of opportunity. She will have seen the signs of that ahead of time, like the husband is angry at the wife or feeling resentment. The reason why he came to me, the au pair, because his wife is doing X, Y, and Z, or they're doing it together for years and years, and this one went sideways, and so he got angry at this one. I mean, she would have insight, I would think. Again, it wasn't a long time; it's just a couple of years that she was the au pair for them, but that's enough exposure of crazy because she's living in the house.
Yeah.
She's not just coming in to babysit during the day, which again will give you a lot of insight, but she is living in that household. So households, when you are that close, you can't hide stuff. You can't hide everything. You can hide things. I mean, every investigation I ever did, I found out with every human being, they have secret place where they have shame and they put it in a little corner and they hide it from someone. But in general, you have leakage because you cannot keep a show up 24/7 in your own house. And so if someone's living in that house, they're going to have exposure to your crazy. And so if there's anything else there, she will know.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.